Hi, everyone. My name is John Coughlin. I'm on the community relations team at GitLab. I think most, if not all of us, have exchanged messages or been on Zoom chats in the past to discuss in-person GitLab meetups. Um, Today, we're going to be talking about virtual meetups. Obviously, the world has changed quite a bit over the last month for many of us. And I hope that you're all kind of dealing with that, change in your lives as best you can. And if folks are, feel like they need to connect with someone, just know that I'm here and I'm available for all of the folks in our community, whether you need to just have a venting session or you need advice about, adapting to remote work or anything like that. I'd be happy to set up time for us to just chat candidly. But today we'll be talking about virtual meetups, which we just started doing a few weeks ago at GitLab and have been really, exciting. Um, I think, there's a few things that we love about remote or virtual meetups. One is, anybody with an internet connection can kind of participate. And so it's, really brought our global community together in an exciting new way that's not possible with in-person events. They're a lot more efficient. So we've been able to schedule them really quickly and get people to register really quickly because the time commitment for folks tends to be just like a 1 hour block versus, potentially, for an in-person event, there's travel to and from, and people are doing it at the end of their workday, which can sometimes be a challenging kind of addition to the day for folks. And so we found that, the attendance for these virtual events tends to be better than what we see at most of our in-person events. And because of those larger audiences and some of the kind of forcing functions that require people to participate, like, when you're kind of pushed into a breakout room, it can be easier for folks to participate in the conversation versus when they need to kind of, butt into a conversation in a room or, in a group setting. We find that people become more active participants in the remote meetups, which is pretty exciting. And then, one other thing is that because people tend to be watching, at their desk or at a table with a laptop in front of them and a keyboard and mouse and things like that, it's easier to make the events more interactive. So we've had some success with demos and things like that where people are able to fork a repo and make changes to a file and follow along with the instructions in a much easier way than they would if they were sitting in a kind of auditorium or classroom or something like that. So we've had a lot of success and learned a lot over the first couple of iterations of this. And wanted to bring everyone together today to just go through, kind of what that creation process for the virtual meetups looks like, and then also to answer questions that people have. So with that, I'll be sharing my screen to just walk through some of the steps of this. Can everybody see the screen here? I'll assume yes, since I didn't hear any no's. So we created on our website, we have a meetups checklist for virtual meetups. And so the kind of process starts in a similar way to the in-person meetups that you've planned in the past, which is creating an issue using this meetup organizer template. And you can see, what that kind of output looks like here. This is for an upcoming event that we're doing with the education program manager at GitLab. So the fields are similar. You have your group name, your URL for your event, who's the organizer, where's the location. You'll just put, remote or Zoom or Google Hangouts or whatever kind of online platform you choose, and all this other information. And, as with the in-person events, we don't need to have all of these fields complete in order for you to open the issue. If your intent is to plan an event, I encourage you to just create the issue and then we can collaborate on the details together. But it's a really helpful way for us to be able to collaborate in a transparent way where other folks in the community and other folks within GitLab can see what's going on. So that's a great first step if you kind of come out of this meeting deciding you want to do a virtual meetup, just create an issue the way you would for an in-person event, and then we can start collaborating together. Going back to the checklist, the next step would be deciding on the format. And I think, Most of the in-person meetups that we see tend to follow a familiar format where people come in, there's some time for networking, time for talks, and then time for more networking. And that, is kind of a tried and true formula. I think an interesting thing about virtual meetups is that there is no kind of proven formula. And so you should experiment and decide what works for your groups. I think, having time for discussion groups, doing more of the hands-on workshops, maybe doing some of the traditional presentations that you would see at an in-person meetup, could all be interesting things to kind of do in tandem or do individually. So just think about what's the goal for your event and how are you going to plan for that goal, and then choose the format that works for you. The next step after that would be picking your platform. So, at GitLab, we use Zoom, and I'll walk you through kind of how to create an event in Zoom in just a moment. But there are other platforms that you can consider. Jitsi Meet is an open source tool that's similar to Zoom. Google has their Google Meet product. If your company or the organization that you work for has a G Suite, has enabled you with a G Suite account. And then there's a bunch more, kind of options, you could use. And we've provided a link to a Wired article that shares some of the top most popular options and defines like what their limitations are and also, kind of what their unique value is. So after choosing your platform, you'll set a date, create an event page, apply a code of conduct just as you would for an in-person event. And sorry if you hear my kids yelling downstairs. And then start promoting your event. So I wanted to just walk you through what some of those steps would look like in action, and also show you a new feature on meetup.com that helps for planning online events. So if you choose Zoom, which is a great platform, and I'm logged in to like a free account right now. So even if you're company or even if you don't have access to the paid tier of Zoom, you could still use Zoom for your meetings or meetups. And so what you would do is just log into your account, go, click, your kind of profile photo, go to meetings, and then you can set up your meetup. So I see Richard Murphy here, so you can do Atlanta GitLab meetup, provide a description. So, maybe you'd put in like 4 o'clock Eastern time, welcome remarks, 4:05, presentation, 4:35, closing remarks, or something like that. Because with the free account, you do have a 40-minute limit, which could be tricky, but I do find that folks have shorter attention spans for virtual events. So I don't think that there's necessarily a problem in having shorter events that are easier for folks to consume before they get distracted by the other tabs or notifications or other things that they get while they're sitting in front of a screen. And then you'll set your date using this calendar, your time. You can kind of toggle these settings on and off. We recommend requiring a meeting password just for security and to kind of prevent Zoom bombing. You can have your host video on. Choose these other settings, have a waiting room is another kind of tip that our security team has to kind of prevent some of the Zoom bombing that goes on. And then when you save that meeting, it'll create this like join URL. And so you'll copy that URL and go over to Meetup. And once you get to Meetup, if you want to create an event for your group on meetup.com, which would be a great way to kind of reach your local community, you'll go in, you'll create a new event. And we just created a new template for virtual events. So you can start from a template, select virtual events, and you'll see that a lot of the fields are already populated. So you have, add your topic here. So, maybe you're going to talk about GitLab CI. Set your meeting duration to an hour if it's a 40-minute meeting in Zoom. And then, we have the description here with kind of a proposed, agenda, fields that you'll need to update, like your date, your topic, your organizer name, add your description and speaker bios. If you want to do these breakout groups, they're optional, but they're something that we've had a lot of fun with at the events that we've organized. And then you can kind of make this your own. The one thing that's going to be kind of new to a lot of folks who are just planning online meetups for the first time is that instead of adding a venue for your meetup, you'll click location and check this box to make it an online event. And then you add your Zoom meeting URL just directly into the event. So the process is, just as simple as planning, excuse me, just as simple as planning an in-person meetup or, creating an event page for an in-person meetup. But I just wanted to show that to folks who may be doing this for the first time. So with that, I just wanted to take a kind of quick pause and see if there were any questions for folks that folks have, about using Zoom for meetups, using, this new kind of meetup.com feature, or any of the best practices that we've learned about as we've started doing these at GitLab.
Hey, John, one quick question. It's Richard. What has been y'all's experience with people's appetite for this? Because I know everybody is doing all online meetings now for their regular day jobs. And so are people getting burned out, or do you see people really still interested in doing it?
Yeah, great question. Definitely agree. Like, I think, as I mentioned in the beginning, one of the benefits of online kind of virtual meetups are that there's like this global reach. So folks, if you plan on an event for the Atlanta meetup group, folks from anywhere in the world would be able to kind of participate just by clicking a link. But because of that ease of access, it also, means that you're kind of competing with a global pool of events that all are looking for people's attention. I think the thing that I would encourage you to think about is how do you create value for your local community? Make it attractive. I think, for folks who participate in our in-person meetups, there's value in going to the events for learning, but there's also value in going to connecting with people that, kind of live near them, tend to share their values. Maybe they, have overlaps in their networks. And that's something that, a lot of other events won't be able to provide for those folks that are active in the Atlanta GitLab community and other GitLab communities. So I would just, start with that, focus on what's going to, deliver value to the folks in your immediate community, and then iterate as you kind of learn what people need. I think this crisis has definitely revealed to me the importance of, my community, the people on, the street that I live on. I've never felt closer with, the small businesses that I want to support, I've never felt more appreciative of. And I think that folks who are active in other kind of local communities, like whether it's their PTA or a tech, group that they participate in, or some kind of networking association, like people all want to connect with other people right now because it's become really difficult to do that. So I'd encourage you to, start with your kind of local Atlanta GitLab group in mind, and then iterate as you kind of learn what people are interested in, what people need.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
Any other questions from folks? All right, cool. Well, I'll give everybody back some time in their day. I appreciate you coming. I appreciate all the work that you've done in helping us grow the GitLab Meetup community over the past, year and change since I joined the company. It's been really exciting. We're about to break through the 10,000 member kind of mark for all of our meetup groups. Let's see, it might have even happened already today. So it's been an exciting time for us. What's going on right now is presenting a lot of new challenges, but also new opportunities. And I'm hopeful that, we'll be able to find a way to kind of keep our community together until, things normalize a little bit. And then also kind of build on, the momentum that we create around these virtual events to kind of maybe do more of this in the future. So maybe your meetup groups, instead of meeting, every month in person, they'll alternate between in-person, and virtual events or something like that in the future, because people recognize just the ease and the opportunities that virtual events create. So I would encourage you to start experimenting now. And if you need help, feel free to set up time with me one-on-one, and I'd be happy to kind of brainstorm with you and figure out something that's going to work for your local communities. All right, cool. Thanks, everyone.
Cool.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, John. You too.